In today's episode of the Pathwork Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Christine Dart, and she's hailing over as the global head of marketing at Helpshift. And at Helpshift, they have a very interesting approach as an app-first support for app-first companies. So bringing support into the app world. And today we want to learn about Helpshift much more, more about the product, more about how they're thinking about growth, and a little bit about Christine's journey as well. So Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's really great to be here, Lucas. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Maybe first, for people who haven't heard about Helpshift yet, what's the 360 overview? What is Helpshift all about?
Yeah, so Helpshift is an in-app support SDK. We do offer also web and email and all of that good stuff support, but our bread and butter is right in the app. And we pair really smart automation tools with a really seamless transition to agents all within the app so that the user never has to get kicked out or go to a web form or anything like that. It's contextual and authenticated, so they don't have to sit and repeat who they are and what their problem is, all of that, as many people may have experienced in frustrating support situations. So yeah.
Very cool. When you say app, is there like certain sort of types of apps that you would find Helpshift more often than others? Is there certain like industries or verticals in the app space where a help product like Helpshift makes a lot of sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So really it's any business or brand that does the bulk of their business within the app. So the app is a really important tool for them to be able to communicate with their customers. Our primary industry that we're in is the gaming industry, mobile gaming. And then second most being fintech. And we do some retail as well, provided it's a company where they take their retail app very seriously. Mm-hmm. And mindfulness, wellness type of apps, and travel.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, what would you say? Who within the organization typically will reach out and says we need something like Helpshift? Does it come sort of from the product side because they say we don't have the capacity to build out sort of a help solution, or does it come more from the customer success side because they just feel the app users being not served well? Like, where does typically the demand come from in the first place?
Yeah, so it varies, and obviously the customer service, customer support side of things tend to be the primary users of our application, but we do often get more reach out from people on the product side, or even depending on the size of the company, CEOs, founders, and occasionally operations, or even I've seen procurement titles come in. So yeah. Okay.
So it's a colorful mix of roles that help is needed within the organization. Very cool. We were talking actually about sort of the products just before the interview started. And you mentioned Metaverse. The Metaverse has been a very interesting topic on various actually episodes prior, because obviously marketers have to get into a new set of frame of mind. Like, what does it mean for support? What does the support look like for the Metaverse moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an interesting topic because what this Metaverse thing is still very ambiguous and unknown. And if you think about when the internet first started coming out, for those of us that were old enough to remember that at the time, a lot of people didn't really know what it was or how to explain it, right? But it's like, oh, okay, it's just like, you can listen to old interviews on YouTube and people will be like, oh, is this like this billboard that's like on your screen? And they were describing it in really funny ways like that. So I think with the Metaverse right now, I think a lot of people think about VR headsets and stuff like that, or they think about obviously the rebrand with Facebook to Meta and everything, but it is a bit ambiguous, and I believe it's one of those things where in 10 years from now we'll probably be relying on it in a lot of very practical ways that we just can't foresee right now. So considering that, and even though that may be years off, it's important to be thinking ahead of how are you going to support your users as you start placing your stake in the Metaverse as a brand, and experimenting with it, and having experiences within this Metaverse, whether it's through VR or through a mobile app or anything like that. And or even on the computer. There's a lot more of these virtual events that are going on that are Metaverse related now. So how are you going to support your users there? Are they going to have to, if it's in the VR world, for example, do they have to now take their headset off and go up to the computer and kind of Google something, go find a forum for an answer, write you a crappy review because they never got support and just got sick of the application? Or are you going to be able to serve your user right there where they are? So Metashift is Helpshift's new solution that is for the metaverse. It's the first support solution available for the metaverse. We're rolling it out in 3 phases. As of now, I'm sure there will be more as we continue to dabble in this world. The first phase became available early May this year, and that one is for mobile applications and AR experiences. And what it is it's actually a free tool called Feedback Plus. And basically it allows users to drop in the SDK and they can start collecting feedback, suggestions for improvement, bug and crash reports. And they can even help guide their users through the experience with a help center. So they can create as many FAQs as they want to help their users understand how to use the app. So for brands that are pretty early and deciding to create apps and maybe looking forward towards the metaverse, creating apps with that in mind, they can drop this SDK in now. And then as our future solutions and features become available, they'll be able to tap into those as well, and they'll already have everything all set up for them. So the phase 2 that will be coming out later this year is actually blockchain verification. So as you can imagine, a lot of things are being centered around blockchain right now. NFTs, we hear a lot about, self-sovereign identities using blockchain. So super secure tools like that. So this feature will be allowing support experiences to utilize the blockchain to kind of keep things more secure, understand potentially what NFTs or assets they might have tied to their account. We see a lot of games coming out these days where people actually have NFTs within their account. You can think about that from like a potential fraud experience. If somebody's like, oh, I forgot my password, how do I get in? And if it's not secure and support's like, oh, here you go, let me get logged in. And then they transfer, $10,000 worth of NFTs over to their other account or something. That would be, be a bad deal. So just being prepared to think about working with technologies like that. Mm-hmm. And then our phase 3 is kind of the sexier one that I think a lot of people are really excited about. And that's having support within the VR experience where they can be in their game or whatever their experience is and access support right there, be able to solve their problem if they're encountering some sort of a glitch or just not quite understanding how to use the application they're in, needing to speak with somebody. So I've seen some prototypes that we've come out with for that already, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cool videos. If you guys head over to helpshift.com/future-of-support, that you will get some interesting insights. Very cool. Now, this is super exciting. Now, if we're going back to the people who are going to be using these platform, but also your current products, what's their journey like? Like, how do they learn about Helpshift? How do they get to know you guys, and how do they get started?
Yeah, so we're fortunate that we get a lot of word of mouth referrals to our business because we've been so well in the gaming industry for a while now, and we're also a Unity verified solutions partner. We have kind of that like street cred in place where people already know Helpshift and they're familiar with it as an option, so they do come through that way. But of course, we're trying to expand into newer territory and get involved in other verticals where we know this tool would be very helpful for brands. So a lot of that's honestly inbound marketing. Like we do a lot of paid search and paid advertising on LinkedIn. We create a lot of content. So we do get primarily organic search traffic coming in. That's where most of our leads come from, with paid search being the second most. Mm-hmm. So when they come in the funnel, a lot of people are coming in straight for either just booking a demo because they want to see it in action, or we have a 30-day free trial that we started at the beginning of this year. And that's really been an amazing experience, both for us and for those that are coming in through the free trial, because they're getting kind of white glove service from our customer success team. They get a meeting with an onboarding specialist when they join the free trial. So they get to learn how to use all the tools, best practices, really setting themselves up for like a good strategy for their support going forward. And that's been like just a really amazing part of the customer journey.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the website. Oh, sorry, didn't want to interrupt you. Do you wanted to add something?
No, I was just wondering how far down the customer journey
No,
funnel
that's
you wanted
fine.
to
Actually,
go.
because I wanted to, I had actually a question there because the website seems to play a major role. How do you personally think about it in terms of sort of, because marketers we have on the show, there's always something to improve on the website, obviously. Where do you sort of see the major strength of the page versus where do you see maybe even, room for improvement moving down the line?
So I started with Helpshift in January, so it's been almost 7 months now. And the website's something I've wanted to kind of overhaul, but it's one of those things where, when you're new in a role, in a leadership role, you're really trying to catch up with everything and get your tentacles into a lot of different things. So the website just hasn't been a priority yet for me, but it's time. I think the strong side, I think our branding is really beautiful. One of my team members actually did a whole rebrand for us last year before I came on board, and he did a phenomenal job with it. So I'm really happy with the overall aesthetic of the website. What I'd like to change is the organization. I just think the organization is not super intuitive for a user to come on and properly understand what Helpshift does in the best way possible when they come to the site. So I think the main thing is changing the way the navigation is structured.
I mean, you've been in interesting marketing roles even prior to Helpshift, where you started, as we were saying, about 7 months ago. What have you learned over the years? Like when it comes to driving, for example, demo requests or trials from the website, like, is there something that you've learned, any sort of methods, approaches, maybe even tools you kept using, something that you feel, was helpful in that regard?
Yeah, so there is this silly acronym that I've heard, I don't know, probably since I was a kid, and it's KISS, and it stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. And it's kind of cheeky, but it makes sense. It's just make things as simple as possible, and always assume that people know nothing when they come to your landing page. So you really want to keep everything really elementary in how you explain things, and try not to use too many words, because people see a lot of words on a page and it's just a little bit too much to consume at one time. So you really need to be extremely particular in the copy you use. I think the copy is the most important part of anything if you're trying to drive leads, like, people coming into a demo or a free trial.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I'm not sure if that's relevant in your industry, but on the show, like the cookieless future has been coming up a couple of times, marketers looking at third-party cookies leaving the browser next year. Is that something in your sort of, circle of marketers people already talk about? Is that something that is more on the back burner a little bit? What's your perception?
Yeah, I think it's something I've been avoiding a little bit, knowing that it's coming and knowing, okay, you need to think about other ways. So I think I do have more research to do on better opportunities, but a lot of what I've learned so far is it's really important to just honestly have really educational content that people want to come back for, and people opt in, to your funnel. And it does hurt me a little bit on the side of attribution and knowing what methods are really working for driving traffic there. Because, a lot of people don't accept the cookies when they get to the website. So it just shows as, we use HubSpot, so it just shows as direct traffic if they don't accept the cookies. So that does kind of stink, because then you're like, well, okay, so we started all these new different ads and we're not really sure which ones are working or how they're coming in, or they're coming in over organic search. Of course, there's other tools that you can utilize, like Google Analytics, and just kind of just knowing all the time, what are your baselines, like how many people are clicking on your LinkedIn ads, and how many views are you getting on certain pages, and that can be helpful, using UTM codes too. So a lot of that, I know I've heard a lot about the importance of building communities, and being able to be driving people through communities rather than trying to rely as much on paid advertising. So yeah, I think really that's the core of it, is if you can really build up your SEO strategy and have have a presence on communities elsewhere where people are familiar with you and coming to view your content that way.
Very cool. Since we're slowly getting to the end of the interview, I would have some rapid fire questions to wrap it up. Are you ready for those?
Okay.
What is the last book you read, or the one marketing or whatever book you would recommend any marketer to read?
The last marketing book I read, or any book?
Or any book. Okay.
I'm a big self-development junkie. So I am reading a book that's on my counter. It's called Welcome Home by Nejwa Zebian. And it's all about just learning how to build a home within yourself. And yeah, it's pretty deep. I can only read a couple pages at a time, and then I have to put it down and kind of meditate on it, I guess. It's just about doing that inner work.
What was the author, if people are interested?
Yeah, Nejwa Zebian.
Cool. Next question is, what's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
We're focused on growth. I would say that's isn't everybody, right? But that is a big focus for us, is just growing right now and doing it in a manner that's safe, and not rocking the boat too much. Sometimes when companies try to grow too fast, it can cause you to bleed out in a lot of areas. So doing it in a way that's really strategic, and making sure that our team members are, feeling good along the ride.
Very cool. If you would have a magic stick, right, there would be no boundaries in technology. What's the one thing you would fix for your role as a marketer?
I would fix for my role
as a marketer.
Yeah, I would have a team member that has a specialty in every aspect of marketing, if I could. Yeah.
What is the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
The beauty of Helpshift is I don't think I've ever had a night where I was lying awake. I've had that in previous roles at other companies, but not here. But I would say the one thing that maybe I focus on the most is, how are we going to get new leads in the door? Yeah.
Very cool. And for the very last question, if today would be your very first day, right? If we do a little bit of time travel, we go back to the days of Colorado Christian University, right? You're heading out of formal education into the world of, growth, business. You've been a design engineer as well. You've had many interesting positions. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
Back to like when I first started my career altogether. I think patience. Yeah, I've had a pattern of when I was younger, rushing from one thing to the next and always wanting to try to grow, which I think has been good in some ways because it's caused me to be very ambitious, and I've never been afraid to try new things. But I think having patience with myself, and instead of being like, why am I not good enough at this? Or like, I need to do better at that, and kind of beating myself up over that. That's something that I would love to go back and not do from a young age.
Cool. Christine, thanks a lot for being a part of Pathon Presents.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lucas. It's been a pleasure.